Aloha and thank you for visiting the Center for Resilient Neighborhoods. My name is Cuon Tran and I am a student research assistant at the University of Hawai'i at Manoa's Department of Urban and Regional Planning. I am also part of the team responsible for gathering information on developing community resilience hubs around the island of Oahu. In this video, I will present my findings for my master's thesis, which is the development of an asset-based framework for resilience hub planning in Oahu, Hawaii. My motivation for this research is to help Hawaii adapt to the future threats of natural disasters. Because of climate change, Hawaii has experienced record-breaking levels of rain and drought, close calls to hurricanes, and extreme impacts from coastal flooding. The time to take action is long overdue, and new innovative strategies must be implemented soon to protect Hawaii's diverse communities. In recent years, the term community resilience hub have risen in popularity. Resilience hubs are community-led, community-based facilities that provide a variety of resources and services. Resilience hubs are primarily managed by residents and community members, but supported by local government and other partners. Resilience hubs can also operate during normal times or disasters. The resources that you see on your screen are examples of what a hub can offer, but each hub can be designed differently based on the community's goals and needs. Overall, I want to understand how a community's existing assets can be utilized to create these types of resources at a hub. Networks of resilience hubs are being developed in communities across the United States, like in the cities of Seattle, San Francisco, Baltimore, and even on Hawaii Island. Resilience hubs on Hawaii Island launched during the COVID-19 pandemic, in which grassroots organizations supplied digital access, distributed meals, and provided education to more than 30 communities across the island. Oahu is looking to follow with the creation of a resilience hub action plan in the upcoming years. During the COVID-19 pandemic, Hawaii deployed an incredible community, government, and organizational response. Impromptu hubs were set up to provide aid and support in the form of test kits, vaccines, food, and classes for keiki. This provides a glimpse of what establishing resilience hubs could look like on Oahu when we all work together to achieve a collective goal. This study attempts to answer two research questions. The first question is, how do different types of community assets influence community resilience in urban and rural communities? And the second question is, how does the influence of community assets and site factors affect resilience hub development in urban and rural communities? This study adopts the three types of community assets described in Haynes 2009: physical, human, and social assets. Physical assets consist of roads, buildings, infrastructure, and natural resources. Human assets include the skills, talents, and knowledge of residents. Lastly, social assets refer to the informal and formal social relationships within a community. Using that information, I want to understand how each type of community asset can influence community resilience and the development of community resilience hubs in an urban and rural community. On Oahu, the island is divided into 8 development plan areas. This study collected and compared data from 2 development plan areas, the Primary Urban Center, or PUC, and Ko'olauloa. The PUC is entirely made up of urban communities. It is considered the most dense area on Oahu and is home to approximately 440,000 residents. Meanwhile, Ko'olauloa comprises of rural communities, is connected by one major road, Kamehameha Highway, and comprises of around 20,000 residents. Overall, 218 surveys from the PUC and 86 surveys from Ko'olauloa were completed and analyzed. These numbers represent a tremendous response from both study areas, and I couldn't be more happier on how well the data collection turned out. You can see on your screen a map of the distribution of responses for each study area by zip code. The largest responses were from the Waialaikahala area in the POC and Hau'ula in Ko'olauloa. The following findings were obtained from my thesis. First, urban and rural communities have physical, human, and social assets of varying availability, weight, and usage that influence community resilience. For example, there could be more physical assets like medical facilities or government buildings in an urban community. On the other hand, more human assets like knowing how to fish or garden, or more social assets like having strong relationships with your neighbors can be more present in a rural community. Second, resilience hub development demands for urban and rural communities to be aware of their existing assets in order to envision what their resilience hub can function as. And lastly, Site factors differ between urban and rural communities and must be adequately understood when developing a community resilience hub. There are two main takeaways from this project. First, urban and rural communities can create opportunities to capitalize on their strongest assets and strengthen other assets that are less developed for resilience hub development. For instance, residents in the POC can strengthen their human and social assets by coordinating events to get to know each other and build relationships. Residents in Ko'olauloa can maximize usage of their social assets by utilizing their already close relationships with one another to create teams for the purpose of planning and implementing activities to increase community resilience. Second, the asset-based approach can be implemented to grasp how a community currently ranks and utilizes its existing assets. However, the asset-based approach is limited because the approach itself can only inspire community change. Residents must act to implement these changes in their community. That is all that I have for you today. Thank you for listening and for your support throughout this important initiative to increase resilience for Hawaii against global climate change. Feel free to explore more of the projects on our website, and we look forward to seeing you at our future events. Mahalo.